I have a friend in South Africa, one of my teachers, Musai Dawood. His phone looks like it comes out of 1920. It's one of those old big brick phones still. He's got one of those old ones. And I say to him, please, just get a new phone. And he's like, yeah. But I know he'd rather spend money on something else. See? So he's a good example of that. That's not why I've got this one, but it's just, I'm just saying, he's got an old phone. So don't always go for your urges. There's other things that you can rather do. And so when we see it, the way that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, being the role model of what the Quran is teaching, being the role model of what Allah wants for our life, he taught us to have control over these urges, and that we should be cautious in what we let our bodies and our eyes and our ears and our minds wander into. Youngsters that are at home, this is for the youth. There is great danger on the internet. The internet is a wonderful tool, but there's great danger on the internet. As you've already heard, Sabanani has warned you, everybody's warned you, CNN has warned you, everybody has warned you the dangers of the internet. If you're serious today and you really, really believe that you should change your life, and you're sitting at home as a youngster and you want to become a better Muslim, but you know that what you're doing on the internet is not good, whether you are on chat lines, whether you're looking at things you shouldn't be looking at, whether you're ordering things that you shouldn't be ordering, whatever it is, not just talking about pornography. There's many other things that you do on the internet that are haram. You want to change. There is a program that you can download, and it's very cheap. Some of them are free and some of them not so cheap. I'm not going to name the program, but I'm going to tell you how to look for it. What it does is it analyzes what you've been looking at over the last month, and it emails it to a friend of yours. So whatever you've been doing over the last month, it sends a log history of all the activities that you've been doing over the month, and it sends it to a friend of yours. Why would you want to do this? So your friend can prevent you from doing things that you shouldn't be doing. It's a way of making sure that the commitment you're going to make today about not doing the things that you shouldn't be doing, you have answerability to another human being on earth. This person you're going to have to trust, because we are not supposed to expose our bad deeds to one another. So try to find someone who is also suffering from the same issue that you are. Maybe you both want to stop. And so like you would have a sponsor. Like drug addiction, you would have someone who is your sponsor that would help you stop doing that thing. It's a very, very powerful tool to prevent people from doing something haram on the internet. If it gets posted to you, you're not going to do anything about it. Sometimes we need someone to help us, and someone to guide us, and help us to stop doing these haram things. We want to help you. You need to help yourself. So try and find either a group of people that are involved in this type of thing and help each other. And this way you can keep track of the things that you shouldn't be doing on the internet. That's just, by the way, a thought. Doesn't mean that I'm saying you have to do this, just a thought. If you seriously want to change your life, you seriously want to start living a moral life, you want to really change yourself, if you do it on your own in isolation, it can be very, very difficult. So sometimes it's better to have this program, which you can order and get online. If you type in the search engine, you'll be able to find it, and use this. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe you can even, if you say to your parents, and you're honest to your parents, and you say to your parents, listen, I want to change, I don't want to be this person anymore, help me to change, they might be able to be the person who receives this email, and they can help you, as long as they're not going to overjudge you and help you and guide you. So that's just in passing, inshallah. Now we're going to move on to have a look at one of the hadiths where it talks about how we can, as people calling to Islam, the character that we need to have in our life and what we are calling people to have in their lives. So let's have a look what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had to say.
In the hadith of Rasul ﷺ, the Prophet ﷺ tells us about his dawah. He was once asked by Amr bin Absa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to tell him his mission of prophethood. The Prophet ﷺ said, I have been sent to teach you to be benevolent to your kith and kin, to abolish idolatry, to believe in unity of Allah, and not to associate someone with Allah. Muslim.
Jazakallah khair. So we see here that explains exactly what we've already been talking about today already, what we've spoken about in this program, that we are to bring ourselves to answerability, that we are to unite with Allah. And if we unite with the Allah, we come closer. When I understand the word unity is to unite under the teachings of Allah, not to unite with Allah, to associate ourselves, but to unite under the umbrella of who Allah is. He wants us to live a life there of separation, of difference, to be separate yet still part of this world. You know, we are still going to live on this planet till the day Allah calls us. and then we are no longer on this planet. But until that time, we still have to be connected with Allah. But we're still going to live on this earth. So in a way, we are like aliens, extraterrestrial aliens. We don't belong to this earth, but we're in this earth. We've come from another planet far, far away. Our home is not here. This is just a temporary housing establishment. Our home is somewhere else. So we need to keep that in our minds. This is the earth that we live on, but this is not our final destination. We're moving on. You have a question, Sheikh?
Sheikh, I wanted to ask about aliens, because people have seen the real saucers flying in the air. And especially when we are speaking to an atheist, he may bring this up and try to investigate as to what we as Muslims have to say, if there are any predictions in our scriptures about it.
So you're wanting to know, how would you explain to someone if they asked you about little green men or aliens? Well, we as Muslims believe that Allah has many creations. We're not the only creation. He created angels, He created jinn. Allah is all-powerful. We have no idea what Allah has created. We only know what He has revealed to us and what is relevant to us. So we cannot stand up and say that He did not create any other life forms or other species. We don't know this. We are barely getting to understand what species we have in our oceans. We have only discovered a fraction of what is actually in our ocean. There are species that we are still discovering. I have an alien species in my home. It is a fish species that is unique, that is so different that everybody is confused on how to deal with this. So there are many things of Allah's creation that are odd and strange that we don't have 100% understanding of. Whether there's little green men who came down in a spaceship and traveled around on planet Earth and are doing probings and things like that, I highly doubt it. But who knows? Allah and His Messenger knows best. But what I can say is we should maybe not focus too much on little green men and Area 54 and alien abductions and things like this. Most of the research that has been done on that have failed to present anything substantial. The research that has been done by independent research bodies, a research that has been done by the governments of different countries, most of the research has, more than 99%, has been explainable. But however, there is that 1%. Now there is a great possibility, as we know in Islam, that jinns can do things. So we know that this is possible. But that is a question, again, that I'm not going to get myself caught into, dealing with jinns and explanations of what they can and what they cannot do. But in explaining to them that you can say, well, there's great possibilities that it could be. We don't have any definitive information. Like, you don't have any scientific hardcore facts. We don't have any scientific hardcore facts. We're in the same life. We're living the same experiences that you're experiencing. And we don't have any information on this. But we don't have anything that says there is not. You understand? Like for Christians, they will probably say there's absolutely no possibility for that. Because they believe they are the only creation. There was no other creation. This is it. This is the only creation that Allah created, according to Christianity. For them, it's not possible, because that would defy what they understand God to have done in His creation. They believe this is the only creation, nothing else was created before, nothing was created afterwards. However, there is a great problem with that theory that Christians have, because even in their own text, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, and Genesis chapter 1, verse 2, you have what is called the gap theory that has taken place in Christian theology. That they believe that, when did Shaitan fall, according to Christianity? When did Satan fall? When did he get disgraced, or when did he get kicked out of heaven, or whatever it is that they believe? There's a gap between these two. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then you have another part where, you know, Satan is in the Garden of Eden. So when did he fall? Did he fall the day that God had only created, day one, and 7 days later the devil's running around the garden already? So it's very unlikely that there was only this human creation. There must have been another creation before that. Where does Shaitan come from? Where does the devil come from? So in Christian theology, they call it the gap theory. I'm not going to get into all of that now, because it will take us way too much time to explain the gap theory. But if you Google it, if you want to look online, you can find out the theory. It's called the gap, G-A-P theory, the gap theory. And this is very good for us as Muslims to understand, because it helps us in our argument when we're dealing with. In theology, there's a big difference between a Bible student and a theologian. A Bible student only knows the Bible. That's what he's taught from. That's what he understands from. Where theologian, he's get many other sources, so he looks at many other books. That's where these theories come from theologians, not from Bible students. Gap theory. Well, that's all the time we have for today's program. So we're going to have to wait for another gap when you can come and join us again here in the studio and learn a little bit more about how to do dawah ilallah. So from us all here, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.